We have seen a lot of snow dumped here in Minnesota in the Twin Cities, and that means it is officially the winter season. Welcome to the very first edition of Sports Den for the winter season 2025-2026, and we're kind of putting a bow on a lot of what has happened in the first year of that, 2025, or really what's happening since around Thanksgiving. You know, of course, our last highlight was Spring Lake Park winning the state football championship. We had the SLP players in here to kind of wrap that up, and now, Matt, we're going from late November to current time and kind of recapping everything that's gone on throughout the early part here of the winter season. And there's some teams that are looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, you're going to have to really stay with us because we're going back. We're going to kind of go through this chronologically to catch you up. Maybe you're still coming down off the high of the Spring Lake Park football championship. We do. We have some really good teams in the winter sports calendar. We've got a couple of basketball squads that are out to early undefeated starts. We'll get to that. It's Centennial Spring Lake Park in girls hockey. That might be the team if you have to just pay attention to one local team. Just the top level talent. They played in the state tournament last year. And yes, we're starting with it because we have highlights from November the 22nd, but fitting because the third ranked team in the state in girls hockey is going to kick off the show. We'll get into the highlights. Third ranked Centennial Spring Lake Park. They were on the road at River Cities. That is the recently rebranded Champlain Park Coon Rapids Co-op. And whoever you're playing, CPCR, River Cities, there's a lot of goals to be had if you get it to that area. Avery Wagner wins her race to the wall, feeds it out front between the skates of the defender, and Elena Netz with her 7th of the season, 1-0 Cougs a minute in. Sharing is caring. 2-on-1, perfectly executed Mia Such, finding Maddie Wolter for her 3rd of the year. How about that sauced pass and a top shelf beauty? 2-0, 8:39 into this one. On to the second. Somebody tell Centennial it's their power play. Tessa Bowden, are you allowed to do that? A short-handed wraparound makes it a 1-goal game with the senior scoring for River Cities. Less than 90 seconds later, the Cougars with a response. Such beneath the goal line. Nobody picks up Melanie Reff, and that's a bad idea because she can make you pay. Melanie's 1st of the year, it's 3-1. Still second period, a cross-seam pass by Bella Lindquist opens up a shot for Sydney Bernavec, initially saved here, but June Semling scraps up the rebound, her 5th of the year. It would be a 3-2 score, and Centennial hangs on for the 1-goal win. So nice start to the season for that Spring Lake Park and Centennial Co-op team that are the reigning conference champions in the Northwest Suburban. They're out to a 5-0 start in conference action. Wins against River Cities, who they have beaten already twice. These two teams rematched again in a December 9th meeting in Circle Pines. They've also beaten Osseo Park Center, Elk River, and Armstrong Cooper, who they sit on top of the heap in the Northwest Suburban. Centennial with a 6-game winning streak overall. It was snapped on Saturday in a 1-goal loss to number 1 ranked Holy Family. The Fire are 13-0 to start the Class AA season in girls hockey. CSLP are off till after the holidays. We will see them on North Metro TV coming up January 6th as they host Blaine. Put out the cat signal. North Metro TV is going to be their cat clash as the Bengals look to recapture some form. They've lost 3 straight going into break. They've been blank for their last 7 periods of hockey, but it's a Blaine team that are really strong defensively. They're giving up just over 2 goals against per game. The offense struggling, though, that drought. They're scoring fewer than 2 per game. Senior Caden Larson, though, if you get a hot tender going, you can beat anyone. That's what Blaine are going to be riding right now. Larson in her senior year with a .934 save percentage. She will need to be sharp when Blaine travels to Circle Pines for that matchup with CSLP coming up on North Metro TV. And we'll take you into the boys' side of the ice as well, too. We'll take you to Coon Rapids. This is from December the 4th. SLPCR taking on the Elk River Elks. Rylan Hansen, a junior defenseman, walking the blue line with a wrister here from the right point. It takes an unfortunate deflection on its way toward the goal. No chance for Zach Bushy. Hit off his own defender and in. 1-0 Elks. 6:49 into this one. A power play chance later in the first. Kish off the half wall to Clark in the goal line. Ryerson, big, Ned Ryerson. Well, Ned Ryerson got the shingles real bad his senior year. Ashton Ryerson tied it up at 1-1 here before the first intermission. Elks on the line rush would retake the lead. Logan Rustad to Luke Patrow 2-1. 13:09 at the time of the goal here in the second period, and the lead would swell from there for Elk River. Rustad, who set up the go-ahead tally, scored for a 2-goal lead on a sweet backhander on the power play to make it 3-1 less than 2 minutes later. Less than a minute to go here till the intermission, and Kane Christensen with a sweet pass off the wall to get it to Joseph Kotzian, a backbreaker here, the third in a row for the Elks to break that 1-1 tie. It was 4-1 just before the second intermission. The Elks would add a late empty netter en route to the 5-2 win.
Following that loss, Matt, they split the next 2 games with a win over Owatonna on the 6th and a loss to St. Louis Park on the 11th. Looking to get back in the win column 9 days ago on December 13th, visiting Centennial. 3 minutes in, Joey Hemmer scored 2 against SLPCR last year. I'll have another, please. Centennial grabs the early advantage in Circle Pines. Just north of 8 minutes here, 8 minutes to go in the first. Adam Kiss, gorgeous feed to Ashton Ryerson on the 2-on-0. The number 2 suits him well. Second goal of the year. We're all tied at 1 apiece. 4 minutes later, speaking of twos, Centennial trying to get their second goal of the game. Caden Johnson in it alone, and it's turned away by Zach Bushy. One of his 38 saves on the afternoon. The ice was tilted at that end. Ryerson to Armagas, deep in the slot, fires it wide. The chances break at 0. Under 10 minutes remaining in the period. Mason Ryer gets an open look. His buddy just has to have the last laugh. Cooper Takawa chops it down for the goal. Cougars are back in front 2-1. Panthers with the man advantage. Sit down, kids, and watch an absolute clinic of offensive zone passing. Bang, bang, boom. Aiden Armagas is the realest cat in the room. Third goal of the year, and we've got a 2-2 cat fight on our hands. Sometimes your opponent just has sharper claws, man. Not even 30 seconds later, Tanner Hamaki is the beneficiary of a board battle. Cougars 3-2. Red and white now holding their own passing session. On the hardwood, they call it a give and go. Here's just goal number 4. Isaac Adams, wide open spaces, tickles the twine, 4-2. Cougars. Speaking of those spaces that are wide open, the ice opens up on a 4-on-4, so they say. Nick Carls crashes in, and it's a 5 spot on the board with the goal there. Centennial 3 unanswered goals entering the third period. Cougars on the power play midway through the third. Nolan border strikes that little bullseye that you see in practice. Yeah, he's hitting it, but it's invisible in this instance. Centennial rolling up 4. They'd get 3 more to cruise to a 9-2 win. Last year against these guys, you scored a couple of goals. You kept it going. What kind of fed into your success throughout this game?
Yeah, I've been playing well recently. Put a couple in last couple of games. Got like 6-7 in the past 2 games. So just kept shooting the puck, put in the net.
What kind of got into you guys when you were scoring those 7 consecutive goals? What was the big turning point to have that happen?
Yeah, it really led with our coach. He yelled at us like 6 or 7 times in the locker room. Like, just really got us going, and we went out there and scored like 6 or 7 goals. So.
They hit the over on the 6-7 references, by the way, in that interview. Following the win over SLPCR, the Cougars kept it rolling. December 16th, a 6-3 victory over Andover, and then a 7-4 win over Champlain Park on December 20th. So it continued the trend of Centennial scores a lot, but they also kind of give up a decent amount of goals as well. But hey, wins are wins. The Cougars have won their last 3, 6 of 8 after losing their first 3. Kind of jumping all over the board there, but only 1 game left in the calendar year. It's tomorrow when they host Forest Lake. The Panthers, on the other hand, they went the other way after losing that matchup, losing 6-1 to Andover on the 18th, 8-1 to Bloomington Jefferson on the 20th. They traveled to 5-1 New Prague tomorrow, finished 2025 off with the December 30th meeting at home versus Roseville. Blaine is off to a hot 7-2-1 start to the season. It's crazy to think how far this program has come in just a couple of years. I mean, a handful of years was it 2-3 years ago. They only had a couple of wins during their season, but here they are, winning 7 out of their first 10. They went 5-0-1 in their first 6, lost 2 in a row to Stillwater and Chanhassen. Bounced back with a 9-2 win over Armstrong Cooper, and a tough 2-1 win at Eastridge is their latest outing. The Bengals will ring in the new year on New Year's Eve with an afternoon matchup at Fogarty against Minnetonka before starting out 2026 with home tilt against Rogers and Lakeville North as well. That's not easy, Matt. That's not easy.
No, that is a tough stretch. It's going to be a really good
Right,
test because,
yeah.
right, I mean, Blaine have had some tough years. The coaching change happened. Trevor Frischman is too good of a coach
Yep.
for them to struggle for very long. We expected this, and while the high school results dropped up, there was a lot of good youth hockey still being played in Blaine. So you see that turnaround happen pretty quickly. Good coaching, still a good pipeline here in Blaine. We're going to move from the ice to the basketball court. We've got some really nice starts for some area teams. We'll get into both of them, but we've got 2 undefeated area basketball teams right now, one on the girls' side, one in boys. We'll get to the boys a little bit later, but starting in the girls' side, you talk about the litany of 6-7 references. I did not plan this. I just looked this up now, but the balance of power in girls' basketball. Centennial had been to the section final in 6 of the last 7 years. I just looked that up now, I promise. But they have typically been the powerhouse in the section, right? Blaine have been very close to usurping their rivals. Those 2 teams played in a 1-point game earlier this year. So, yes, Centennial beat Blaine. Okay, same old, same old. Maybe not. We got a Blaine team playing pretty well on the girls' side right now, too. And the question is, are they going to be able to knock off the Cougars, who for so long have been the top dogs in that section?
First-year head coach for this Blaine Bengals team as well. And let's get started rewinding the tape back to December 9th. Blaine girls hoops entering the game with a 4-1 record going to Coon Rapids. Cardinals getting it going right off the opening tap with some early offense. It'd be a good night for Jakaya Palmer. Cardinals up 3 here from the jump. Now, where exactly is downtown Blaine? Well, nobody really knows. But then again, maybe Kaden Olstrup could help us out. 3 of her 9 here from downtown. Bengals defense was on point from the start. The steal and the score. Marley Jansen takes it to the house to give Blaine their first lead of the contest. Olstrup, this time from the wing, splashes it from deep. She's making a home next to the coffee shop, man, in downtown. Bengals +6. Move over, we got company in downtown. Amelia Ritchie connects from distance to get the Baby Blues rolling. Now a 9-point lead. Someone give Alexis Earhart the Unselfish Award here. Could have very easily had a steal and score of her own. Alexis Schloman up ahead for 2. She had 12. Cardinals not backing down. Palmer amongst the trees chops the lead to 6. She had 16 to lead Coon Rapids, but yet you got to get back on defense. Ritchie catches the Cardinals snoozing and the lead back up to 8. Things were working for Palmer in the first half. How about some shake, rattle, and roll off the rim backboard to trim the deficit back to single digits with under a minute to go until half. Time winding down. Guess who? Amelia Ritchie, that's who, unlocks the 14-point halftime lead from the top of the game. And it's a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. Bengals were clawing the Cardinals to begin the second half. 6-0 run right out of the gate. Natty Berry finishes in traffic. And then more defense turning to offense. Ritchie with the poke and then gets it to finish with the layup. All Bengals in the second half. They rode to a 77-36 victory. Following the dominant win over Coon Rapids, the Bengals, a little bit of a roller coaster ride, losing back-to-back games. First, December 11th, Matt talked about it, the Centennial game, 65-64, and then a 16-point loss at home against Delano. Over the last week, it's good to rebound in basketball. They've rebounded. They've won 3 straight games, Champlain Park, Anoka, and then they went up 35 for a 20-point win against the Luthies. Tuesday night, big cat clash with the Bengals hosting Spring Lake Park. And then they'll host River Falls on the 30th. Centennial, they've gotten off to a little bit of an uncharacteristic 3-6 start. We're used to them being the class of girls basketball here in this region. They're in action tonight at White Bear Lake, and then they play in the Eastview Holiday Classic on December 30th and 31st. But we talked about Spring Lake Park before and that big cat clash coming up. Nobody is hotter than SLP girls basketball right now. The Panthers are 7-0, and Matt, they're doing it with defense. Only 2 teams have scored 50 or more in SLP this year. Two teams have failed to score above 30. The aforementioned matchup with Blaine was going to be a big one for both teams to really see where they're at this moment in time. And then the Red and Blue are off to St. Cloud for the Granite City Classic against Waconia and Pequot Lakes.
Yeah, I love that second-year coach for Spring Lake Park girls. Starting to buy into his system in year number 2. That's big for the Panthers.
Let's shift to boys hoops. December 11th, Cat Clash. Centennial visiting unbeaten Blaine. Kids, it's important to deposit your money in the bank. Henry Siemens banks in the mid-range jumper. It's in the bank and earning some good interest. 4-2 Bengals early. Blaine with a 4-point lead. Shiloh Aite, man, he would have himself a night. Breaking down the big man off the bounce, and the Blue Boys out to a 6-point lead. Next time down, it's a straight line to the bucket. Bucket and the foul. After the missed free throw here, Blaine gets it back. Henry Siemens just absolute straight silk from behind the arc, man. Timeout, Centennial. Blaine a double-digit lead. Out of the timeout, Logan Milky gets things going in the right direction for the red and white, cashing in his winnings from 3. Speaking of winning, it's important to bet on the right horse. Down the stretch they come. Aite scores at the finish line to put the Bengals up 12. Centennial cuts it back to double digits, not for long. Blaine recovers the fumble and the loose ball here. Tula Kempta, the royal flush. And look at those beautiful royal blues they got on. Under 4 minutes left until half. Cougars here within 5, but let's call him Henry from State Farms. Henry Siemens, a little bit of insurance from downtown. Bengals by 8. Final minute, Aite parts the Red Sea, gives the Bengals another double-digit lead, keeping their distance here in the first half. Second half, and it's time to crank this thing up to 11. Aite got game, got range. Splash, Blaine by 17. Let's get this thing north of 20. Give Shiloh the ball and let him take the wheel. 21-point lead. Aite long ball. The young man can do a lot of things on a basketball court. Does a pull-up jumper tickle your fancy? Doesn't matter. It's Shiloh's yard now, 23-point Bengal advantage. But never underestimate the heart of a Cougar. Zach Espinosa knocking down 3 of his 18, cuts it to 20. Wes Kukkonen finishing on the break, and in a snap of a finger, it's a 16-point game. Here come the Cougars under 4 minutes to go. Blaine lead down to 13. Espinosa rises, fires, drains the elbow J. Down to 11 the deficit is. Zach was all over, working hard on the inside. The rebound, the putback, the foul. 10-point game with 2 minutes to play. He's pumped. Under a minute, 9-point game. Tristan Hansen steps behind the line. He had 21, 6-point game under 40 seconds to go. But Blaine nails their free throws down the stretch. Get the kids out of their seat. There it is yet again, Matt. 67 on the board. They're pumped. 70-64 the final here for the Bengals.
A little big desire at times for both.
I feel like we've been working really hard in practice. We got great coaches that push us every single day. And just we got kids getting here an hour early before practice, getting up shots. My performance today, I mean, I got open a lot because this guy was scoring a lot. So a lot of my points goes to him. So,
you know, our team likes to move around a lot. We like to cut. We like to make open space for our teammates, and kind of noticing the space on the area, and then driving towards that space, getting a bucket. That's kind of what I noticed throughout the game. That's what got me hot throughout the game. So, all props to my teammates for getting me open.
Trying to lick their wounds, the North Metro TV truck followed them to Spring Lake Park. First of 2 meetings between these 2 teams last Wednesday. Brady Anderson gets to the net around Nolan Myron, and the leading scorer for Spring Lake Park would get a couple back. A near 28-a-game score getting started in this one for SOP. Tyler Wilkinson, one of a couple of state champion football players for the Panthers, shows that the athleticism translates to the court. Same goes for Nolan Roach. Off the Myron steal, the Panther quarterback scoops and scores. Myron with another steal as he reaches into the passing lane. He would lead all scorers with 13 before halftime, and just a smooth operator, the lefty, getting to his left-handed finish again. He's a Division II commit to Bemidji State, and the junior was cooking early here for Spring Lake Park. There's the lefty finish again from Myron, on pace. He was for his 4th straight 20-point performance to open the year. Tristan Hansen splashing down for his first triple. He had 10 at the break. Cougars led 35-30. The Panthers would score the first 4 points in a sluggish opening 3 minutes. Roach with the easy bucket here, and Centennial were ice cold. No field goals for the Cougars in over 5 minutes to start the second. Roach, living up to his name, was a pest. How about Myron here with the no-look pass to the big man running the floor? Aaron Jepson would put the Panthers up by 1. Myron showing off his range now from the volleyball 10-foot line. Long distance, dials it up to get him to 20. Wes Kukkonen would answer back immediately to pull it within 1. A flurry of threes here after there were only 4 combined in the entire first half. Roach with a corner triple. SOP were up 1 with about 9 to play. Sean Eline online with his left wing 3. This one tied it up at 54 apiece down the stretch. Myron would have to leave the game with a knee injury. The top scorer for Spring Lake Park would not return after getting to 22. But Roach happy to pick up the slack. The Robin to Myron's Batman turns into Nightwing. How's your DC lore? 12 of his 14 came in the second half, and the Panthers win.
Myron, your best player, goes down. I mean, then it just becomes kind of team effort, and everybody's got to chip in. I mean, first half was not clean, but second half we really locked down defensively and started rebounding the ball.
So Spring Lake Park rolling to the win over Centennial. The Cougars, with that defeat, lost their 3rd in a row, and the Cougars will be back in action trying to snap a skid against the Park Wolfpack. Blaine are the big story right now. You see them atop the Northwest Suburban Conference standings. They're 6-0. It's the best start for Bengal boys hoops in at least the last 25 years. 5 of their 6 games for Blaine have been against the conference, the section, or both. So they are out to a very strong start in terms of postseason seeding in 7-4A, the section that they share with the Cougars. They've got rematches with Coon Rapids, Centennial, Andover, and Anoka, all teams they've already beaten and will rematch with in the second half. Centennial and Spring Lake Park have each played 3 or fewer in conference play right now. Next game we've got coming up on North Metro TV will be Tuesday. Spring Lake Park surging with back-to-back wins. They're taking on the undefeated Bengals. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. tip. That'll be coming your way tomorrow on North Metro TV. Blaine will play in the White Bear Lake tournament to close the calendar year. Spring Lake Park in the Granite City Classic for their final 2 games in St. Cloud to close out the calendar year. That'll do it for our basketball coverage here today on SportsDen. We got one more set of highlights to bring you from boys swimming and diving. We will go back to last Thursday, Spring Lake Park hosting Centennial in a Northwest Suburban Conference dual meet. We will start in the 200 medley relay. Centennial's group of Isaac Wynn, Sawyer Salata, Benno Schubauer, and Blake Thorson would take the top spot. In the 200 free, junior Brendan Credian of Centennial with a sub-2-minute time, the victor. In the 50 free, Elliot Shepard of the Cougars won with a 23.9-second final time. And in the 1-meter dive, it was about Blake Thorson of Centennial. He finished on the top spot with a final score of 207.15. And how about the two-way standout? Thorson anchored the 200 medley relay to the victory in the duel and took the top spot in the dive. In the 100 fly, Benno Schubauer led a pack of Cougars who took the top 3 spots in that event. In the 500 free, Brendan Credian with his 2nd individual win for the Cougars, who finished in all top 3 spots. In the 200 free relay, Ketz, Walcott, Perry, and Menlick won for Spring Lake Park. In the 100 backstroke, Page was DQ'd. Tyler Long of Spring Lake Park with a win. In the 100 breaststroke, it was Katz after a DQ. And in the 400 free relay, Rippey, Tockley, Perry, and Thunborg for Spring Lake Park took the win, but it's the Cougars with a dominant dual victory. So we have got 3 days left till Christmas, Ted. We've got one more broadcast coming your way on North Metro TV, and it should be really fun. Spring Lake Park, Blaine coming up. We'll both be there tomorrow night, but otherwise, happy holidays, and that's going to do it. We are into winter sports season. We'll be back for SportsDen in the new year. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. It's the second week of January is when we'll be back for that portion of SportsDen. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that matchup tomorrow night as well. Some really good basketball going on. Of course, you mentioned at the top of the show, we'll kind of bookend with it. CSLP girls hockey they're just doing what they do. You know, every year they just they do what they do. So we'll see you on the second Monday in January. Until then, he's Matt Dean. I'm Ted LaRue. This has been December. Happy 2025. We'll see you in 2026. Merry Christmas.